Hi everyone, welcome back to another day of Odd Animal ABCs. Today we're on to letter S, which stands not for squirrel, but for serval. And if you're not familiar with the serval, these are wild cats that are native to Africa, specifically sub-Saharan Africa. And they have a black spotted coat, really long legs, and a long neck. And these characteristics enable them to see over the tops of the tall savanna grasses. And they also have really large ears, which lend them a great sense of hearing as well. So let's get started. Grab a drawing utensil and a piece of paper. Today we're going to start with our paper long ways towards you. So once you have that, we'll begin on the left-hand side of the page, about halfway up. Again, I want to leave enough space for their long legs, as I show here in my demo drawing, and their long bodies and necks as well. So for their eyes, we'll start with a simple dot on the left, and then probably not quite an inch or so away from that, one other dot of approximately the same size. And they have these slanted eyes. It almost looks like they have eye makeup on with this black ring around them. So I'm actually, instead of our usual C shape, I'm gonna make it kind of pointed to give them those slanted eyed look. There we go. And then for the nose, I'm going to do an upside down triangle and color it in black. This is going to be in between the eyes, just down a ways on his face. And then we'll color that in. From here, as I said, they have really large ears. So in comparison to the rest of their body, these are going to be pretty large. So they're going to be a triangular shape. Again, you can make it a little bit rounded at the top. They're not perfectly pointed. There we are, and then I'm going to draw that same shape inside of them to give them a little bit of depth. And then for the top of his head, I'm just going to connect that with some of those short little hairs that we do just with some lines across. Then to complete his face, I'm going to give him his mouth. So it's going to be a U shape from the left here to the bottom of the nose, and then the same thing from the bottom of the nose over to the right. So here's one side, and then the other. From there, I'll connect the bottom with one more U shape, and then we'll do a curve from the ear to the corner of his mouth on the left, and from his right ear to the corner of his mouth on the left. And that will be his entire face. So there's your cat face. And they do have some fur and some markings on their faces that are very distinctive. So for their rest of their nose, to give it kind of a point, I'm just going to draw some strokes up towards the center, and then the same thing on this side. From here, we can go ahead and add his whiskers as well, because they are a cat. And then we'll add spots on at the very end. So there's his entire face done. Let's do that long neck. I'm going to take two parallel lines out to the side here, kind of at a diagonal towards the right. So we'll start one right underneath his right ear, and then an inch and a half or so down here by his mouth, we'll do one more. So it looks like he's almost sticking his neck out to see above the savanna grasses. And then another long line we're going to take over about halfway down the side of the page here, and then we're going to start curving it under, as we've done for some other animals, to start creating the tail. And they do have a short striped tail. So from his end of his neck here, we'll just take a curve. Doesn't have to be perfectly straight. And then see, I kind of curve that over for his rear end here, and then we'll start on his tail in a moment. Now that we've got our basis for where we're going on the back side here, let's do the back legs. So for his back legs, you can see I started with a curve here for his back hip, and then we'll draw the leg down from there with a series of lines. So underneath this curve that we just drew, go ahead and take a curve, turning from the top down to the bottom. And then I'm going to take two parallel lines, slightly diagonal out to the right here to start his back leg, and then turn them in the other direction right here. For his paw, I'm going to do 3 curves to connect. And then we'll do the same thing in the front, but facing in the opposite direction. So this curve was turned in towards top to bottom. We're going to do bottom to top here to face in the opposite direction for his front leg. And then from there, I'm going to start with his neck. I'm going to start pulling this down to create his front leg. So I'm going to take a line from this end here and draw it in a slightly different angle there to start that front leg. And then we'll just simply draw 2 parallel lines down. And then we'll add the paw in approximately at the same height as the back one. And then we'll add a suggestion of that front leg. In my sample drawing here, I actually have it looking like he's walking. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll take our 2 lines slightly out towards the left here, as if he's walking forward. If you need to make them a little bit longer, you can. And then same thing with my 3 curves at the bottom and connect to the bottom of his leg for his foot. And then for his belly, I drew a series of lines to give it a little bit of fur. We'll do his back leg, his last back leg right underneath this. So from here, I'm gonna do another curve. It's kind of in the same direction as this one that we already drew. And then 2 parallel lines down. Again, get them whatever length you need. And then our toes for the paw. Last of all, I'm gonna finish his backside here. I'm gonna take a curve up from his leg to where I'm gonna finish his tail. And then for his tail, I'm just gonna take another line down and around, curve it over on the bottom here. And then we can start to add some of the markings. If we're on the tail here, they have a striped tail. So I'm gonna add a series of black lines to give it that kind of furred effect. And then from there, you can have fun with the rest of his fur. I did a series of black spots, similar treatment just with those short little lines, and you can vary the size. Maybe there are some that are really close together. You can take them all the way down his legs. And I even did some on his face. Some of them have smaller markings right around the eyes, maybe even on the ears as well. And of course, each cat is unique, right? So it can look however you want it to look. And when you're done with your spots, there's your serval. Thanks for joining today. We'll see you tomorrow.